Good evening, welcome to the State of Business on our television with me, Kavishka Pereira. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Whole nation needs to come together to eradicate drug problem, says President. President Maithripala Sirisena pledges to not take any action that would jeopardize Constitution. News in detail. President Maithripala Sirisena says that since the drug issue has become a major problem for the future of the nation, everyone should come together to win the challenge. The President made these remarks attending a program held at Bonavista College, Galle, which celebrated its 200th anniversary yesterday. The Bak Mahadevruma, the pledge against drugs, would be undertaken by everyone in the country with the participation of ministers, government officers and school students, and with that pledge, the whole country should work together to eradicate illegal drug smuggling, said the President. President Sirisena visited the smart classroom established at the Bonavista College and also planted a Nar sapling to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the school. Bonavista is the first college that was established as Bonavista English Missionaries while starting English education by the missionaries. Member of Parliament Mano Ganeshan, Chief Minister of the Southern Province Shan Vijayalal de Silva, Provincial Ministers Chandima Rasaputra, Vijayalal Hettiarachi, public representatives, principals, staff, parents, past pupils and others were present at this event. President Maithripala Sirisena states that he will not take any action which would be contrary to the constitution of the country or that will endanger the sovereignty of the country. The President made these remarks participating in a ceremony held in Meegahathanna, Kaluthara yesterday to declare open the new police unit at Meegahathanna in Kaluthara, that a commission should be appointed and that the lands of the north and east utilized by the security forces were not released to the original owners is based on incorrect information submitted by NGOs, and further said that there is no necessity to appoint such commission. President Sirisena also stated that while the government admitted to what was based on true information, the government will not under any circumstance accept statements based on false information. People's representatives including Mahinda Samarasinghe, Mahinda Amaravira, Palita Thevara Peruma, Gamini Tilakasiri, Ranjit Somawansa, the Kaluthara District Secretary, public servants, IGP Pujita Jasundara and others were present on this occasion. The Colombo Stock Exchange today held an event for listed companies under the theme Sustainability Reporting for Sustainable Development. Speaking at the event, Head of Research and New Products of the CSE, Nishantha Hevavithana, expressed the following on steps taken by the CSE to promote sustainability.
As far as promoting sustainability is concerned, a stock exchange can do a lot. It has and it can play a vital role. Having understood this role, Colombo Stock Exchange became a member of Sustainability Stock Exchange Initiatives in 2015 as the 18th member. Currently, that has 78 members. And by becoming a member of SSC, we publicly demonstrate our commitment towards promoting sustainability among listed companies.
Elaborating further, Nishantha Hevavithana also spoke about deliverables of the CSE.
There are certain duties that for us to deliver. One is to, of course, offering training programs for listed entities. And in this regard, we have partnered with Global Reporting Initiatives to offer programs. And this program is the fourth program in that nature. We have already conducted 3 programs and we have already planned the 3 events upcoming. Of course, you can expect the next event in July. And one other initiative that we have considered is to launch an index, ESG index.
Head of Research and New Products at the CSE, Nishantha Hevavithana, further expanded upon the new index.
The index constituents would be the companies with high level of disclosure. When it comes to an index, of course, what comes to your mind is, of course, size and liquidity and so on. But however, in this regard, in addition to the traditional liquidity and size criteria, there will be something called ESG score. Higher the level of disclosure, your score would be ESG score.
Stay tuned for more news after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Delivering a special address at the program on sustainable reporting, sustainable development, carried out by the Colombo Stock Exchange, Chief Economist of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Shiran Fernando, elaborated upon the growth of the economy of Sri Lanka.
If I was to start off, the economy is pretty much in a very delicate situation right now. If you look at it from a more growth perspective, is a bit of a concern. If you look at historically, we've seen economic growth, if you look at the 1952 to 2017 period, averaging around 4.5%. But in recent time, the 2013 to 2020, 18 period, it's come down to about 4%. So a lot of the growth headwinds that were seen, particularly post 2019, has sort of dimmed out. And we're very sensitive to what goes on, both in terms of weather-related changes as well as consumption-related changes.
Shiran Fernando also expressed the following regarding Sri Lanka's economic growth in regional terms.
From a more regional perspective, if you look at compared to a few years ago, one of the best investment cases, points you'll put for Sri Lanka as an investment case was the high growth environment. But it's not a point you can consider anymore, given that Sri Lanka is now the second lowest in terms of GDP growth in the region in South Asia, as per the World Bank forecast. So growth in that perspective also is not doing too great.
Chief Economist of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Shiran Fernando, also made the following statement on measures taken by the government with regard to the budget deficit.
What the government in particular has been quite successful is, if you look at a primary balance perspective, that is, you take the fiscal deficit, the budget deficit, and strip away the interest payments, which has actually increased over the last few years, it's actually in a surplus. And that has continued in 2017, in 2018, and that's a healthy sign because we've not achieved that level of surplus for the primary, in the primary balance for decades. So the continuity of it, I think, is a good trend, and that will sort of bolster the stability that the economy needs, because oftentimes we do go in terms of circles with fiscal deficits increasing during the election cycles that take place as well.
A roundtable discussion hosted by John Keel's Properties on financial independence for women was held today in Colombo. Speaking exclusively to Art Television, Executive Vice President of John Keel's PLC, Roshani Jasundar Moraes, expressed the following regarding the event.
Today's program was about highlighting financial independence for women, because we think that that's an important point that gives women a lot of confidence and restores their dignity. Once a woman has her dignity and confidence, she becomes a powerhouse that perhaps can do anything and gives vent to her talents, becomes a contributor to society. So the key point, I think, for financial independence is education, and there were many points that came out in the discussion, and one was participation in the labor force and what leads to non-participation. And again, there a point that has been discussed in many forums for many years about childcare. Economic changes. At the same time, I feel that there's great progress made over the last decade or so in terms of professional females coming back into the labor force.
Stay tuned for stock updates after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The All-Share Price Index gained 44.51 points to close at 5,556.28, and the S&P SL 20 gained 34.62 points to close at 2,736.49. The turnover was 457.7 million rupees and 13.6 million shares were traded. Next up is Forex rates. Well, that's a wrap of the bulletin for the day, signing off with a promise for tomorrow at the same time with nothing but the latest. Thank you and good night.